Everybody. This is Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey. I thought I might come on live for a little bit this evening. I don't know how long I'm going to be on. I'm streaming through Facebook, which is probably my own page, and also through my YouTube channel. This is a live playing test at the same time. I've broadcasted through my YouTube channel, Circle of Grace 1, before. And I've been thinking about a lot of different things, so I thought I might read from one of my books. My most recent book is Decree and It Shall Be. So I thought I might share something from that book. And I also, this title is Meditation and More. So I want to talk about some of the highlights of meditation and what you can use meditation for. Today's date is December the 18th, 2021. And of course, it is about 9:59. It's about 10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So if you're on the West Coast, it's 9 p.m. for you. If you're in Central Time Zone, it'll be 11 p.m. And if you're out on the East Coast, it'll be 12 a.m. So again, I just going to come on for a few minutes. One of the things I want to let you all know, a lot of people that are here in the city of Albuquerque, New Mexico, uh, down as far as Los Lunas and Belen, New Mexico, up into Santa Fe, New Mexico. I'm affiliated with uh, Resident Essentials here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, located at 3107 Eubank Boulevard, Northwest, Suite 3334. So I'm usually there every Saturday. We just completed a series of my creative path work meditations, and I had a nice turnout, small turnout, but I like small turnouts as well as medium and large. And the whole idea is to just share some insight. Many people may just see me as a meditation teacher. Other people may see me across the internet and back east and other areas as a professional numerologist, where I'm dealing with numbers, your date of birth, and your name. Other people might see me as a person who can analyze dreams for them. Other people might see me as someone who is also good at interpreting someone's handwriting, as in graphology. Some people might see me as a tarot card reader. So I have a lot of things under my belt. I've been established with this since about 1974. The Circle of Grace one, before it was called that, was called the Floating Healing Meditation Circle, which in that sense began about 1985, 1989, and then it progressed into the Circle of Grace one. A lot of my training is on a one-to-one basis. My late mother would reveal some things to me, um, especially once I got into college. She would We would correspond through letters. She would give me some very interesting things to think about. Her tool of transformation was fasting and prayer, and then she received a lot of messages that she could pass along to family members, other relatives, friends of hers, as well as people who were into spiritual and metaphysical studies. She was a Rosicrucian member. Uh, I don't know if the place is in existence, but there was one. I know one out in Hauppauge is there, but there was one that was well attended in Westbury, Long Island, New York, that she was affiliated with. Um, she, in her own way, passed down some Pacific teachings like how to feel energy through your hands. She also relayed to me just having faith, the power of faith. In fact, her name is Grace, and therefore the Circle Grace One is in honor to her, because actually she wanted to form her own circle where she would have many people that had a wide interest. Um, Two of her older sisters Fanny and Mamie, they were gifted readers. During that time, there was this phrase that said if a child was born with additional foreskin over the eyes, that was a sign that they had a prophetic gift or a healer's gift, and that they would be able to make an impact on their communities and families because they had this extra inner sight to be able to see. And so these were the things that she put out to me step by step. I know she was very good at knowing the difference between a dream and a vision because when I was 8 years old, I had what I thought was a dream about the college that I would eventually go to, which was Bard College, upstate New York, and eventually graduate from. She said that I would have numerous experiences that would bring out the psychic talents, the intuitive abilities, and many other disciplines I would be gradually attracted to. So she was, in essence, my first teacher. And she taught me a lot of things even when I was in high school, but I could not reveal any of those things. I couldn't really talk about those things only because I really didn't have an understanding. And also, I didn't have any other people in my childhood, such as friends, that had any of those abilities that I knew of. And therefore, I didn't have anyone to really converse with but her. And so I had to keep a lot of that inside of myself. And then as time went on, especially when I got to college, I was able to connect with other friends that had an interest in astrology, palmistry, dreams, and so forth. And so, I had a few people that I could talk to. And then upon coming out of college, uh, back in 1974, from 1974 up to about 1977, 78, my older brother and I were going into places like Harlem, and we would go to what was called the Old Tree of Life bookstore up in Harlem, New York, and in the city, in Manhattan. And we went to a place called the Tree of Life bookstore, and when we went there, we started mingling with different people. And I had an interest in numerology. I was always deeply interested in study of numbers and how those numbers affect us or impact us through our name and our date of birth. Through there, I met a longtime friend of mine, still of 43 years. That's Mr. Lloyd Strayhorn, Brother Lloyd Strayhorn, and I connected in the Tree of Life bookstore. And then everything just took off after that. Through Lloyd, I had an opportunity to be the most popular guest that he had on his WLIB 1190 AM radio show called Numbers in You, which was named after his first book that he wrote. And he has a whole series of books out there now under that heading, Numbers in You. And so I was, had this opportunity through Brother Lloyd to be his very first guest on Friday, October the 2nd of 1982. Prior to that, he had me as one of many guest writers in his newsletter called Numbers in You. And so as time went on, I got more into the study of numbers and dreams and developing interest in reading the tarot and then handwriting analysis. Also, during that time, off and on, coming in touch with understanding crystals and gemstones. And that became a lot stronger for me when I began to get in touch with this particular gemstone, which is, or gypsum, which is called selenite. And that was back in 1988 when I had a dream. So all these things were gradually accumulating, and I began to study them so that I had an opportunity to grow in the metaphysical and in the spiritual world. Again, it was very slow for me because I didn't know a lot of people. My mother knew a lot of people, and even before she transitioned, During the summers, she would have me drive her around the summer of 1979, the summer of 1980, and just before during those times, she had me drive her to her friends all over from out in Shirley, Long Island, way out in Suffolk County, all the way through Amityville and Bayshore and Babylon. And then eventually we wound up in Nassau County, Rockville Center, up in Manhasset, Great Neck also. But what was um, these friends of hers were also members of the Rosicrucian uh, order. So they all had their participation in that, but they also met outside of there. And these were the different groups of people. We went as far as other parts of Nassau County, also Valley Stream, and then up into Queens, Cambria Heights, Queens, Jamaica, Queens. She had lots of friends, got into Brooklyn, different parts of Brooklyn, got into the Bronx, into Manhattan, Bronx, and we touched a little bit in Westchester County in Mount Vernon and New Rochelle, where she happened to have some first cousins that lived in that area. So, that was my training, was meeting these different people that she would later have have me have a little deeper connection with. Now, it didn't go too deep, but I knew that they were there. If I needed assistance, I could call upon them. If I needed information or something that I didn't understand. And then, of course, I met, my own people, like up in Harlem, a wonderful lady who's retired now. She's in her 80s. Her name, I'll just give her first name, which is Doria. And she was an astrologer, but she also read with a regular deck of cards, and she could just flat out read you. And she came from a family of spiritualists, so it was like passed along from her mother and her dad. And so that was my association, always getting in touch with her at least once or twice a month. She lived in the Gramercy Park area of Manhattan, and that allowed me to blossom in different ways. And then meeting people and being my brother and I, we did our own psychic fairs, just to explore that. And then eventually my brother met other people, and that helped out. Then we kind of branched in and connected with other people who had more connections than we had. And I began to meet people like my friend Reverend Maria out in Huntington, Long Island right now. And that time when I met her, she was in Hicksville. So I got to meet her. And it was just a beautiful array of practitioners and people that I met along the way that made an impact on my life. And I, in turn, was able to make an impact on their life. And that was, again, very helpful for myself. And so I just wanted to come on tonight to explain that, these disciplines are not something that you manifest literally overnight. These disciplines are something that we work at all the time. We have to study just like anybody else. We have to do reading just like anybody else. Not everybody who's quote unquote a reader or a healer is comfortable being a teacher. Not everybody who just flat out teaches is comfortable doing an extension of that work. And this work, this body of work that we're doing, that's serving the public on a multiple layers, it takes time. And some people may have seen some of my little storylines on Facebook earlier this week, where I was saying if you are a healer, a teacher, a coach, an advisor on some level, make sure that you're taking the appropriate time that you need to work on yourself. If you're not working on yourself and you're having some issues that come up with yourself, those issues that you have can easily spill over into your client's life. And there you won't be able to help the client because you won't be clear enough for yourself. And I could attest to that in my earlier years, first 5 or 10 years, something that was going on with myself and the person sitting in front of me, and I'm giving them a tarot card reading. And the minute they cut and shuffle, and I cut and shuffle, and I lay the cards out, and I'm going like, this is about me. It has something to do with them. So Spirit was always bringing me different levels where I had to be reminded that I must be emotionally clear and mentally clear. If we're not emotionally clear and mentally clear, then we won't be able to receive the messages from Spirit that's coming from all angles, all around us. We have information not just coming into us from the outside, but from internally. And like I taught my class today in meditation at Resident Essentials, my Creative Pathwork meditation series, it was all about having those in attendance get accustomed to the rhythm of their breathing and how deep they can inhale and exhale without pausing. Many of us have these experiences, but we may not realize that we need to work on them. The experiences that we have, be it you're a person who meditates or whatever, those experiences help you discover your roadblocks, your fears that you have. Maybe you just don't feel like you're into it enough where you could get something out of it where the work is more fruitful and healing for yourself. So it means that you have to truly work at what you have. Truly, not just work on your gifts, but begin to work on many other things because it's very important. It's very important. I've been doing what I've been doing for about, I'm in my 47th year. So I always have to continue to work on myself. Um, I don't consider myself a master. I've just been at it a long time. And sometimes we have to learn how to take a break. You just can't constantly work at this. You have to create a balance. So sometimes you have to rest, get as much sleep as you can. Sometimes go internally with yourself, do some more meditations or prayers or affirmations and decrees for yourself. Whatever it takes, sometimes you just have to take a step back. And that's important. You know, as much as we might feel that we have a gift and that we can reach out and help the world, if we're not working on ourselves and helping ourselves, then when I talk about helping ourselves, I'm talking about getting clear. So if we're not getting clear enough so that we can interpret better, whether it's analyze more clearly someone's dream, your client's dream, or maybe you're teaching a class, maybe you're giving a large seminar or workshop, you want to be clear. And it's important. And one of the things I've learned, I just want to share with people is that you don't have to be perfect at doing this. What you do want to be is able to show up, in the work and show up. Sometimes it's necessary to be transparent. Other times, just to be transparent enough, meaning use yourself as an example if you need to explain something in detail to your students and other practitioners, just to let people know that, again, we don't have to be the master of the craft because that mastership takes a long time. And there's sometimes when you're going to make mistakes. There's sometimes when you may not, like for people who read tarot cards, and I always tell some of my students that I've taught over the years, there are different ways to read your cards. You can follow the booklet that comes with the deck of cards. That's very helpful because whoever designed the deck may have designed the deck according to traditional tarot decks, or they may have come up with their own symbolic language that they're using. So you want to become more familiar with the style, the artistic style, how many geometrical shapes are on the cover, or what does the plaid cover mean, or if it has a meaning, then you want to look at the different symbols and how those symbols are carried out. Is the person working with four elements? And the four elements then can take you into the 12 astrological signs. Do you use numerology if you need to use it? Are the cards numbered in such a way so that you could do that? So I always tell the students, before you start trying to read somebody, get to know how your cards are made up. Get familiar with the different symbols. Sometimes you don't see every symbol right away when you're trying to give an interpretation. Sometimes you learn, like an astrologer or a numerologist, to become a good storyteller, because once you understand some of the basic meanings of the cards, and then you have enough experience where you're reading yourself, reading a family member, relative, you name it, a friend, and then you're building up your confidence to be able to read the cards in connection to the person in front of you, or over the phone or through Zoom. Once you can kind of build into that for yourself, then you can see some a movement where you're having more, you're being more productive, and you're really expanding your knowledge base. I used to tell some of my students sometimes, I might, in the beginning, I was reading the weight rider deck. I had the small pack that I could carry in my pants pocket or a jacket, and I had the standard size. And sometimes when I was reading a person, a brand new card would pop up in my mind. I'm giving them the interpretation, and then bam, I see a card from a whole nother stack of cards. And so, because I worked in a place at that time called a Botanica, that was talking about back in the mid to late 1980s up into the mid 1990s, working in places like this, I eventually could say, oh, let's see. I go out to the front of the store and I start to look. Oh, I was shown Hanson and Roberts, or I was shown a Crowley deck, or I was shown a Morgan Greer tarot deck. All these things were leading me step by step to have a bigger awareness of what the cards could mean, rather than what I thought they were meaning, because I was looking just down a tunnel, you see. So it's the same thing for people who study astrology, who can grow and become more advanced in their astrological readings. So they might study the different systems that are out there, the most popular systems. Uh, I imagine the same thing happens, being that I'm a numerologist and some of my friends are, my colleagues are. There's things that they go through and different systems that they start to develop, so they can better chart a person's name out. They can better see how the numbers fall in a person's life. For myself, I used to always think, halfway through this career, that the master numbers were mighty powerful master numbers. And as time went on, I saw the master numbers presenting more lessons for the individual that carried it. So if the person was born on the 11th or the 22nd in any month, it wasn't going to be an easy, breezy path for them. They were going to have to work on some things, whatever might be challenging them relationship wise, or business wise, or just day to day, or health situations. So it's going to be different. And so this is why I always tell my students, don't rush. If you're going to be a tarot reader, really take your time. Go in and find out the different books that are out there. Who's writing all these things, so that you could open your mind up. It's just like when you go from grade school to high school, then high school to college, and then you get a little deeper, right? You're going after the bachelor's degree, and you get through that. Now you want a master's degree. You get through that, and then maybe you're going after a doctorate. Depending on your field, you have a lot of reading to do. And the thing about it is that study never stops. That part of you that has to study never stops. You know, we can wake up in the morning and begin to go into meditation and see if there's something there that will assist us throughout the rest of the day. Maybe you can't meditate in the morning, so you got to do it midday. Or you can't do either one of those, so you wait till nighttime. In any event, you have to go within. You have to be able to do that. And you can't take everything that comes to you as being the definitive truth. Even if it's your first impression, we usually say sometimes your first impression is more accurate. But depending on how deep your life is, what you're actually going through, you may not be able to use that first impression. You might have to go within and go a little deeper to find out what it is that you need. Many of us have spirit guides that assist us, angelic impressions that assist us, ancestors, ancestors that span across the waters, ancestral deities from other lands, or your immediate. In my case, I was fortunate, even though my family was partially dysfunctional, where my dad was, alcoholic, but I was able to, throughout the years, discover he had some very good points about him. He just, alcohol took over his life. Where my mother was the exact opposite. She was the one that saw that I was going to wind up somehow in this field. Somehow I would eventually take the initiative, and then I would want to stay open to gain information and try to have some understanding of the metaphysical world and the spiritual world and how I was going to take that. She didn't have a chance to see me step into it fully, but I can communicate with her. She had that ability to push that energy out so I could feel it. And she and her mother are part of my team of guides and teachers. And I have others that assist me. So I wanted to just come on tonight because a lot of people often ask me, what is it that you do? I do a lot of different things. I am affiliated with Resident Essentials, RESONANT Essentials, ESSENTIALS, out here at 3107 Eubank Boulevard Northeast in the Scottsdale Shopping Plaza, just 10 seconds north of the intersection of Eubank and Candelaria Boulevard Northeast. I'm usually there every Saturday. We had our last class for this year for myself, Creative Pathwork Meditation Series, where I introduce people to 5 distinctive um, journeys using the color light vibrations. And it's very helpful. I have one series that helps the mental body, one that helps the emotional body, one that helps you in terms of your spiritual body, one that also affects everything in your entire auric field. So I have these 4 or 5 ones. I think one of them also connects with your nerve system. So they're designed to open you up so that eventually you can go deeper inside yourself. And all these meditations are my original meditations that I've worked on for over 40 some odd years, 30 some odd years. So they work. And I've applied them in different ways with different groups of people, anywhere from 2 to 3 people in a room to up to 100, 120 people in a room over the years that I've been applying this. Um, so I want to put that out there. I'm also working on a lot of different courses. I just completed course number 1 for my selenite, which is the Age of Remembrance, which is the divine I am presence in selenite. I've been attuned to working with gypsum known as selenite since 1988, and it's a stone that I work with a lot. I wrote a book about it called The Age of Remembrance, the Divine I Am Presence in Selenite, and how that connects with our body and the element in our body. And I just put together this course for this young man that's out in Brooklyn he's a Christian minister, but he happens to be a very, very deep metaphysical man. And so I put together the course, and he was the one that I had an opportunity to test it out with. So he's going to take his last class in January, and then I'm going to introduce him to another level, which will be course number 2, something distinctly that I put together based on some of my other books. In fact, if you want to check out my website and read about my books, you can go to http colon double forward slash www dot circle of grace with the number 1 at the end, just like you see it here, but everything's connected, .us. And the minute the page opens up, you will see some purple links along the top. And so to check out my books, just click on the link Books on Amazon, and you'll see all 5 of my books that I currently have. One of the books, my well-worn version here, is the book about my life, Dancing in the Light of Divine Grace. And this talks about the elements that my mother, whose first name is Grace, and that's why I have the Circle of Grace 1, is in honor to her as being my first teacher. After writing that book, which was this book, Dancing in the Light of Divine Grace, I originally wrote this book in 2003 and got it published through a small publishing company in 2004. Revised it in 2017. That's when I went with the small publishing company. And then May of 2018, I added it to Amazon. Then the next 2 books are basically channeled books. These channel books are my remembrance of being in the ancient solar temple with Akhenaten and Nefertiti. So the first book was The Wisdom of Akhenaten as I Am, and has 13 chapters. And then that was done by October. It took 3 months to channel this information out. And then January into February was Nefertiti's book called The Gift, The Wisdom of Nefertiti as I Am. Both of these have about 13 chapters. So I was able to, help a lot of people in that capacity. I'm always teaching from my books. As I say, a lot of this stuff is original material, but I'm always teaching from my own material. I don't believe in using anybody else's. In the beginning, you start out with someone else's, but eventually, if you go deep enough and you're proficient and you're patient and you're kind and you're humble, the universe connecting into your higher self will lead you in what you remember. And so I often say that the Circle of Grace 1 is the circle of divine grace and remembrance, because it's all about remembering. This is my 4th book about selenite, The Age of Remembrance, the Divine I Am Presence in Selenite, and how to work with it. And this cover, front and back, is a close-up picture of a selenite tabula that I have over here. And when you get the book and you look really close, you'll be able to see a guardian looking right at you. There's guardians all throughout that selenite tabula that I have. But you'll notice that there's one in this picture. If I hold it close enough, you'll see there's one looking right at you. He's the main guardian in there. The selenite book, if you purchase it online, it's $11 on Amazon. If you purchase the Akhenaten book, it's $11.11. If you purchase the gift with Nefertiti, that's $11.11. Also, I'm not going to read from these tonight. Dancing in the Light of Divine Grace, you can get that for $25. And if you got it as a Kindle ebook, it's for $8.88. If you got the Akhenaten book as a Kindle, it's $7.77. All the other books are not in Kindle format. Sometimes Spirit asks me not to put them in Kindle format, leave them as paperbacks. This is the most recent book, Decree and It Shall Be, Speak as I Am. And this is basically on how to use affirmations, affirmative prayers, meditation, okay, and then how to take that further, activate yourself, and then get into doing a decree. And I have a course based on that. I actually reduced the fee on the course so anybody may want to be able to sign up. People often ask, are these group classes? They can be, but most people may not be able to meet as a group, so they're still taught on an individual basis. That class is a signature course in online training using Zoom platform that I have, and it is called the 5 Point Creative Pathwork System. 5 Point Creative Pathwork System, and it involves the 5 points in this book. They are referred to as the five vessels, and how to use them to activate yourself so that you can get to the level to do a decree just like that, snapping your finger. So it's very helpful. So I want to share something from this book, which you can get on Amazon right now for $12. Okay. And eventually in 2022, if you are one that lives out here in the state of New Mexico, specifically in Santa Fe, Los Lunas, Balen, and here in Albuquerque, I am planning to do a short course or just a little 2 hour workshop about my books, and especially Decree and It Shall Be. So I'm going to just take something here that I would like to share. And for those people, we might have one or two people on right now through Facebook or through YouTube. But at some point, you can always replay this and get this information. Let's see where my spirit is leading me. Again, it's all about being in service to humanity and helping others receive what they need to receive. Well, I'm going to go straight with a decree. Um, and I'm going to keep it short. I'm going to pick the one here I'm being led. It's on page 53 of my book, Decree and It Shall Be, Speak as I Am. And it's called I Choose to Remember. This is under chapter 10, Speak as I Am. There's only 10 chapters in this book. And it goes like this. And as I read it, if you're listening, uh, you can listen the first time or let yourself sink into a meditative zone. And when you do that, you will receive something totally different. So sit up straight, relax, breathe, inhale through the nose about 4 times without holding the breath, then release it through your mouth about 4 times. And what you want to do are 4 beats. You want to repeat that as many times as you can so that it is comfortable for you. Just inhaling and exhaling. Then shift your awareness to inhaling and exhaling through your nose only. And again, you don't need to hold the breath at the top of the inhalation nor at the base of the exhalation. So you can receive this as meditation. I'm going to read it straight from my book. I choose to remember. I choose to remember that all is one. I am always dwelling in the state of remembrance, that I am one with all beings. We are creators, and we are responsible for what we create. Therefore, I see and decree that I am, in capital letters, I am, creates responsibly, and I choose to deliberately create peace and unconditional love on purpose. So just take a moment and absorb that into your consciousness. I continue to say, I am, in capital letters, the divine expressions of unconditional love and divine grace. As I give, so shall I receive the same in good measure. We are all blessings of grace here and now in every moment. So I shall be as I speak, as I am. Purpose for writing that. And at the time in chapter 10, which is the speak as I am part, the divine I am presence, I had no idea that I was going to be able to lock into the higher self and receive 13 of these different decrees for chapter 10. So, this whole idea of remembrance, we always consider remembering date of births, anniversaries, addresses, phone numbers, combination locks, and things, all kind of things, right? So when we are doing this, it is important that we listen while we are striving to remember. And who are you listening to or listening for? Well, eventually these teachings are leading you toward your higher self. Your higher self is that divine being on the inside of you that is keyed up, that is attuned to the higher principles of yourself, so that you're flowing through all of the chakras properly for yourself, in order for yourself, going as high as you can, but as deep as you can, so that you can receive. Whenever we are receiving something uniquely from our higher self, which is the reflection of divinity inside of us, when we can do that, then we are able to replicate in our lives a better life. We're able to become more sensitive and aware of our environments and the people in them and the events or situations or conditions. One of the things about this ability to remember that you are this divine, infinite being, metaphysical being, spiritually enlightened or enlightening, that's coming into the light that's on the inside, that's building up, that eventually stretches out. You want to always remember that you are light, you are energy, you are a divine, intelligent being that can remember all things in one moment. Our whole goal is to elevate our consciousness, to get back into the state of remembrance of our true selves, to know that we are consciously growing in that direction and consciously receiving everything and anything that will assist us in being better. That's the whole idea, to get better, be better, so that you can assist someone else. You can help someone else up out of their muck and mire, especially when they're seeking it. So I wanted to read that so that you can feel a sense of greater enhancement or fulfillment or being more blessed, so that you can get to a point where you could embrace your true self. What's going on is our higher self is seeing through our eyes, living in our body. We carry it all the time. So I'm going to sign off. I'm Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey. I'm the founder of the Circle of Grace One, established in 1974. I like to refer to my Circle of Grace One as the Circle of Divine Grace and Remembrance. I am the founder, chief principal teacher, and host, as well as author. I'm also an artist as well. I want to thank you so much for your time, and whatever you're doing this weekend, do it well for yourself. Let it be wholesome for you. Let it bring up more humility within you. May you embrace yourself. I feel like I have to say a decree that's coming to share with you. And if you're listening live, you can receive it. You can come back and replay it. Through divine power and by divine grace, I hereby see and decree that anybody that is listening to this receives a blessing because they themselves are a blessing, not only to their personal circle, family circle, work circle, you name it, that they are blessed in a way that is wholesome and uniquely given to them as they were born into this world with it. I see and decree that um, you will have financial ideas where you can increase your finances. I see and decree that the beauty of unconditional love in you acknowledges the presence of grace around you. I see and decree that in due time, you will continue to elevate yourself and expand yourself in such a way that you are learning more and more and more and giving more and giving more, but you are assisting where your assistance is needed. So, my grace is your grace. Thank you for joining me. I want to thank Catherine McLaughlin that was on here and anybody else that's in the Facebook audience. I want to thank you so much. Until next time, remember that divine grace is a blessing as we're alive and well in the age of remembrance. If you need to be in touch with me with some questions, you can email me at iam.circleofgrace with the number one at the end at gmail.com. Again, my email is iam.circleofgrace1 at gmail.com. I may come on tomorrow. I have an Instagram account, so I might go live on Instagram, or who knows, whatever the Holy Spirit wants me to do, whatever my guides, my Mother Grace on the other side and her grandma Charlotte have for me to do, whatever Akhenaten and Nefertiti drop into me in the dream world. I'll probably be on for a little bit tomorrow. Anyway, thanks again. Time for me to go, get my rest, do my meditation so I can be prepared for tomorrow to assist those who are coming to me. Bye now.